This was a tricky one. This is your boy, Deluxe Man, and here is your review for WWE Battleground 2013. I went into this show expecting a lackluster show. I am surprised to say this was a solid, fun pay-per-view. It has its down moments, and I'll get to those throughout the review, but for the most part, this was a decent pay-per-view. I enjoyed it. Was it worth the $45? I don't know. It's better than Night of Champions for sure. This was much better than Night of Champions. But is it worth paying for? I can't say it was, and I'll explain that throughout the review. But before we get to that, as always, please subscribe to me if you have not. Like me on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter. Check out my second channel for tributes and matchups. Check out the podcast, Wrestling Paradise. Everything down below in the description box, as well as my mashups on the WWE YouTube channel. With that said, let's kick things off with the kickoff match, or the pre-show. I'm just going to call it pre-show because the kickoff match, I'm sorry. Dolph Ziggler versus Damien Sandow. A solid match. I mean, it did its job, It did its job and explained why Damien Sandow didn't cash in that night, because Dolph Ziggler injured his leg and made it so that he couldn't cash in. I was sad, but you know what? That's a nice little way to cover up that little loophole in the series and gave Damien Sandow a reason to be on the pay-per-view. I almost wished it was on the main card. It wasn't that long. They could have actually fit that on the card. But I'm not going to bitch too much about it. It was still a good match. Dolph Ziggler won, and Damien Sandow continues to go on his losing streak. Why? Because he's Mr. Money in the Bank, and Mr. Money in the Bank always has to lose his matches. I never understood that booking. We get into the main card now. We have the Hardcore World Heavyweight Championship match between Rob Van Dam and Alberto Del Rio. A really, really good hardcore match. Lots of awesome spots. My personal favorite highlights is RVD's frog splash from the apron onto Alberto Del Rio while he was under a ladder. That was awesome. The use of the ladder actually made the match really good. And then Del Rio stomping Rob Van Dam's arm while I was inside a chair and then locking in the cross arm breaker. That was a really good way to retain his championship. I'm also shocked that we didn't get a Ricardo Rodriguez heel turn. I thought we was gonna get it. They teased it, but you know what? It was a surprise to see Ricardo Rodriguez stand up against Del Rio and still remain a babyface. And you know what? With the way things are being booked, we might get a Ricardo Rodriguez versus an Alberto Del Rio program, which has to happen eventually. So I'm not too mad about that. This was definitely one of the best matches of the night. Not the best match of the night, but definitely one of the best matches. Next up is an impromptu match between Santino Marella and the Great Khali taking on the Real Americans. I'm just going to say this. Only watch this match for the last 5 minutes, because the giant swing by Antonio Cesaro on the Great Khali was freaking awesome. For that very reason, Cesaro needs to be in the main event picture in the near future. From the tag team scene, whether he's with the Real Americans or you bring in Cassius Ohno and put him in a tag team with him, whatever you do, plan to move Cesaro to the main event scene and give him a world championship. There is absolutely no reason after what he did tonight that he shouldn't be in the main event scene. I am sorry. That was one of the best highlights of this pay-per-view. The match itself, it was decent. I'll say it was decent. It wasn't terrible. But the only reason I'm going to remember this match and this pay-per-view is because of that giant swing by Cesaro. Awesome. Definitely a highlight of the night. The next match here is the IC Championship, the Intercontinental Championship between Curtis Axel and R-Truth. These two tried. They tried to have a good match. I'm sorry, it just didn't work. And guys, this is why I say it's important to build up the characters, to build up the match. The build! I'm serious though, because when you don't give these guys a program, you don't give these guys a reason to have this match, and you just give us the match, the fans are not going to care about it, even if the match is solid, and it kind of was solid. Nobody cared about these guys. Nobody had a reason to hate Curtis Axel and had a reason to cheer for R-Truth. They had a reason on the YouTube channel, but that was like yesterday. They put that out yesterday and didn't use that throughout the build to this match. And that's what made people not care about this match. It was an okay match. It was passable, I guess, but you're not going to remember it if you watch it. Curtis Axel retains. That's all I can say. It was a clean victory. He beat R-Truth. and he goes on to the next guy that faces him for the IC Championship. Please be a good feud. Bring Evan Bourne back. Bring Tyson Kidd. Bring him back and have him face Curtis Axel. I would love that feud for the IC Championship. I just thought about that. Tyson Kidd for the IC Champion. FTW. Heck yeah. Next up is the Divas Championship match between AJ Lee and Brie Bella. Like I said, I didn't expect a really good match out of these two, and I didn't get a really good match out of these two. AJ Lee pins Brie Bella as a result of Tamina doing the headlock on Nikki on the outside. Brie is distracted and it allows AJ Lee to run her up for the pin. Again, I don't hate the Bellas, but I just don't want them to be Divas Champion. Brie Bella can be involved with the program between Randy Orton and Daniel Bryan. You know, I would like to see Randy Orton RKO Brie Bella just to get some more heat between these guys. That would be awesome. Other than that, the only person I want to see AJ Lee defend that championship against is Natalya. Please give us that match. At Survivor Series, at Hell in a Cell, whatever. I want to see AJ Lee versus Natalya for the Divas Championship. Put that in a program, give them some TV time, and let them run with it. They can make a really good Divas feud, I promise you. Okay, the match of the night, by far, is the Rhodes family. Cody Rhodes and Goldust versus The Shield, Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. Goldust looked awesome! He wrestled like he was 20 years old. He looked really good in this match. And Cody Rhodes got a huge pop when he entered the match. That hot tag to Cody Rhodes was a freaking hot tag. Lots of cool action, lots of back and forth. I have no complaints about it. We even got a bionic elbow from Dusty Rhodes on the outside to Dean Ambrose. That was nice. Anyways, the Rhodes family win, and they get their jobs back. Definitely the match of the night, 4-star match. The locker room came out afterwards to congratulate them. It was a nice moment. It was very emotional. It was just done so well. I'm really liking this angle with the Rhodes family, and I hope it continues, alright? This was definitely the highlight of this pay-per-view. If you don't watch anything on this pay-per-view, watch this match. You will be glad you watched it. Alright? And also, one more highlight I want to talk about involved in Kofi Kingston versus Bray Wyatt. This was a solid match overall. Lots of good back and forth action. There was a spot in the match where I believe Bray Wyatt caught Kofi Kingston out of the air as he springboarded back into the ring and then power slammed him. That was nice, but there was a moment in the match where Bray Wyatt did his little, backwards thing on the turnbuckle. He would hold the turnbuckle and then he would go backwards like that. And then he did this creepy exorcist spider walk where he bent his body backwards and actually walked towards Kofi Kingston. It scared the hell out of me. And Kofi Kingston got out of the ring when he did that too. Oh my god, that was awesome. I love this. And also, one more thing. The fact that Kofi Kingston was hitting Bray Wyatt and he liked it. Thank you. If someone watched my video and applied that to his character, you are awesome. You need a raise. You need a freaking raise. Thank you for that. That makes him a lot more likable. And honestly, because we got more showcasing of his character and his ability inside the ring from Bray Wyatt, it made the match a lot more awesome than it actually should have been. Bray Wyatt beat Kofi Kingston by an awesome counter to his SOS. That was cool. Oh, and Kofi Kingston did an awesome dive to the outside as well. I'm not going to say Kofi Kingston was bad and it was all Bray Wyatt. No, both of them had a good match. I thought both of them had a good performance. And see, these two being on my top 5 directionless talent list, this match shows you why they shouldn't be. These two are awesome talent, and I want to see more of them, okay? These two future world champions need to be featured all the freaking time in programs. Alright, WWE? And I'm clapping because I'm making a statement. Bray Wyatt wins this match, a really good match. Next up, shockingly, was the worst match of the night. And it involved CM Punk. Yes, before you lose your minds and spam my comment section with hate messages with your little keyboard swords and shields and pitch and forks, listen to me, okay? It was not all CM Punk's fault. The reason why this match sucked was because of Ryback. The guy is just limited. And you know what? Everybody's saying that Ryback is a better worker than Goldberg. I don't believe it. I'm sorry, Goldberg would have had a better match with CM Punk than Ryback did tonight. I guarantee you he would. This was a bad match. Okay, alright. I won't say it was a bad match. I'll be nice. I'll say it was okay. How about that? Those of you who thought it was solid, thought it was good, all power to you. If you liked it, great. I didn't. I didn't like the match. I think Ryback is horribly limited inside the ring. These two just lack chemistry. They really did. And the match just didn't flow very well, and it absolutely killed the crowd. It really did. It was bad. It was not a good match at all. Please don't do a rematch. Please don't do a rematch. CM Punk beats him with a low blow. It made sense because they were cheating. They were giving him a hard time, and CM Punk, taking a page out of Paul Heyman's book, got one over Paul Heyman by beating Ryback with a low blow. And it's kind of ironic that he beat Ryback with a low blow last year as well, so, you know, coming full circle, I suppose, but they won't mention that because that makes too much sense. Yeah, not the best match on the card. Definitely the worst one. It's not terrible, but you won't like it because I didn't like it. Around this time, the pay-per-view lost its feed. And no, I'm not talking about the stream lost its feed. No, the actual pay-per-view. TV, stream, however you bought the pay-per-view, you lost the feed. And it was because of a power outage, I believe. Maybe they had bad weather over there or just some technical difficulties. Who knows why, but yeah, at first I thought, oh boy, here come them refund fans. You know, and you know what? This would be a legitimate reason to have refunds if they didn't get it back. But they got it back. And to see people crying and moaning about, oh, I want my money back, guys, you missed the video packages. Oh, freaking well. It's not that big of a deal. Seriously. So, I'm happy that WWE did manage to get over that little stumble. Because if they didn't get that power outage back, dear God, that would be the icing on the cake for this being a really pointless pay-per-view. Although, the ending to the main event, okay, let me just say this about me, because I have a little rant I want to get off my chest. Nowadays, with wrestling fans, I feel like, although we have those wrestling fans that are absolutely critical of wrestling and will tear it apart for the smallest little things, I do think there are those wrestling fans on the other side who have become so desensitized to what's good and bad and think everything is okay, everything is for the good of business, and don't really know when something should not happen, when it's bad and takes away from the show and hurts the overall product. And I think those fans are just as bad as these critical assholes over here, honestly. I'm not saying everybody is like that, but I'm sorry, I feel like wrestling fans should have a line, okay? There should be a line to where something has to be bad, alright? Sometimes critical fans will have the line way up here, but if there's no line at all, that's almost just as bad as them having a line way up here, okay? My line has always been fair. I have tried to be very fair when it comes to WWE. And whether some may like my expectations or not, I've always been consistent, or tried to be consistent with my expectations. And I have not changed them in the last 3 years. And I'm not going to change them now. With that said, I did not like the ending to this match. The ending to this match was lame. Now, I will say the overall match was solid. Let me just say this really quickly. The fact that Daniel Bryan versus Randy Orton for the WWE Championship had a weak crowd going into it because the crowd was dead after watching CM Punk and Ryback. That was not a good match at all. But the fact that Daniel Bryan and Randy Orton managed to wake them up and get them to go nuts towards the end of the match just shows you how awesome these two work together. They have some awesome matches. Great chemistry, both of them. And they deserve to have one more match at Hell in a Cell. Definitely. And they need to get some more heat behind it too. I hope they do get more heat behind it. But yeah, this was going to be a great match. It was heading to being a great match. It was going to compete with Cody Rhodes and Goldust versus The Shield. It really was going to compete with that match. And then Big Show came out. He interferes, knocks out the referee just as Daniel Bryan was about to make Randy Orton tap out. And then knocks out Daniel Bryan, and he's all like, oh no. And then Scott Armstrong came out, and you know what? I really wasn't upset about it that much when it came to this point. I was a little annoyed that Big Show had to get involved with it, but, you know, when Scott Armstrong came out, it made sense because it played up the whole fact that, yeah, Scott Armstrong is obviously very shady, you know. Obviously, he's working with Triple H or whoever sent him out there in Night of Champions. He's working against Daniel Bryan. But then Big Show grabbed Armstrong, knocked him out, then got to the ring, and knocked out Randy Orton. And then we end the pay-per-view right there, with Big Show, you know, showing some balls and standing up against Triple H. If this was Raw, fine, okay? If this was a Monday Night Raw, I wouldn't be complaining about it. But if you're gonna make fans pay $45 for a pay-per-view, $45 for a pay-per-view that shouldn't even be here right now, that had absolutely no reason to exist, and then you're gonna give them that lame ending, you're just opening the floodgates for people to be pissed off, alright? People who are pissed off at that ending have a legitimate reason to be mad, honestly. Because that was dumb. That was a bad way to set up a no contest. I'm happy we got a no contest, because it makes sense to set up Hell in a Cell. But you couldn't have booked a better no contest. Let's say Daniel Bryan and Randy Orton knock each other out. Something other than Big Show coming out and knocking them both out, and then we have no decision at all. It just ends with Big Show's music, and it cuts off. That was dumb. I didn't like that at all. And it did kind of hurt the pay-per-view, because people were looking forward to this match. They were looking forward to seeing Daniel Bryan win that championship, and then we got that. So, I'll still say it was better than Night of Champions. It was solid overall. It's just that ending was lame. I didn't like that ending whatsoever. And it's not because Daniel Bryan didn't win. No. Randy Orton could have won, and I would be fine with it. That's fine with me. Because you can still set up the main event with Hell in a Cell because Big Show came out and screwed over Daniel Bryan. You can say that stuff. But, I don't know. I didn't like it. How'd you feel about it? Tell me how you felt about this pay-per-view overall. Down below in the comment section, or make a video response to what you do. But that's all I'm going to say about this, guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow night for Raw. Your boy, Del X-Man signing off. Peace out.